Hey
Welcome,
Larry,
welcome.
how's it going?
It's going well.
It's
You,
going
you,
well.
yeah, you've got a new background there.
I got a new
Skateboard.
background. Yeah, Viva la Viva background. Yes.
Nice.
I have my Viva stuff that I'm also getting into. Viva is basically Karen feeding a baby Skynet, I think, is a good way to put it. You remember we had actually, who did we have? I think we talked syntax remember with Joel,
Yeah,
and we were
with
talking
Joel.
about syntax. It's like it just seems like not long ago. I don't want to go back to that episode because we were talking about the inklings of what essentially Viva and all these other products are all about. Essentially,
Right.
we're now at a stage where AI is quite mature. And I'm not talking about the fact that that little grunt in Halo can like dodge you much better than before. I'm talking about like just language stuff or just like putting documents through a some sort of processor or a machine, so-called machine learning. I say so-called because it already knows. It's like, yeah, I know. Just show me what you got. All right, fine. Thanks, Ralph. I'll,
Yeah.
I'll follow
Well,
you.
I mean,
It's they're
it
getting
is it is
smart.
it is becoming ubiquitous, right? I mean, it is embedded in so many products that you don't even think about. I mean,
Right.
the if, if you say Alexi and say something, that is one of those
Yes.
AI,
Say her
right?
name out loud and summon her. It's like
Yeah,
it's
Skynet.
like saying that beetle person three times and then it
Yeah,
comes over. But
Handyman.
yes, exactly. But I mean that's the thing. It's like I don't know. I've actually seen people have conversations now with their smart speaker. I mean,
Right.
is this now the new like that's my new friend at home that I'm going to talk to them? Is it going to be that that conversational at some point where like well I actually have a buddy?
Well, and see what's really what I think is empowering, and there are products out there that do it, is real time translation. Teams is one that will do it as well.
Teams
Uh,
has that, yes.
you can speak in many different languages and have it translate for the people that are speaking a different language.
So it's not just on the translation. Actually, that one's really good. I've already seen the demos. Well, they do it as demos, but I think they're going on for real, where like there'll be actual presentations going on at that very moment, doing that AI type translation on pieces. And I think that they're actually cheating now with things, places like Netflix and all the rest. Like when you turn on the closed captioning
Closed captioning.
for stuff.
Yeah,
I've noticed lately, closed captioning used to be very specific. It's like, here's what they're talking about. And it was very clear. It was like the words for words. They would even have, that they took the time to actually set up the closed captioning on purpose when there's like quotes or special symbols or anything like that. And when they're letting the AI do it when sometimes the words are not exactly the words. And then a different time of the movie, it'll be a
right.
different word. So like now they've come to the point where like, oh well, we don't need to have closed captioning. We'll just let the AI do it. Well, that's a bit of a cheating. So I'm like, here I am. I'm like, I sometimes want the TV low because I still have the little kid upstairs. So like we're late night, we got to watch something. He's like, turn it down, it's too loud, Ralph. So I
Right.
turn it down. I have the closed captioning and I'm watching it very carefully. Get my glasses on, and then I'm reading it. I'm like, what? That's can't be what they're saying. What are they saying with this stuff?
So do you?
Especially if you're watching Lord of the Rings or something, and then of course you're going to say something like one of those not English words,
Right.
and you read it, it's like Sauron, Sow,
Yeah, yeah. That's
Sow,
like.
Sow, and then a Ron afterwards.
So let me ask you: do you Roku?
Yes, we have Roku.
Okay.
We
So let
do.
me give you a hint. If you've got the right version of Roku, this one does not. But the other two that we have in the house are the advanced remotes, and they've actually got a head plug in the
Oh, it
side
does.
that you can plug in your headphones, plug in some little earbuds, and it does a great job.
So
Let
wait
me
a minute
just say,
though. So that's very interesting. So now you get your sound. How does it sound? What's the
it sounds
quality?
well. I mean, it sounds like
What's
whatever
coming
the
out of a
headphones.
headphone?
Yeah, if you've got airplane headphones,
Because I'm
the
thinking, just
little
get
ones
the
that they
little
throw
little
out.
Bose headphones, those fancy ones. Put them on, and just use the Bluetooth of the TV.
Yeah, you can do that as well.
Huh. You just gave me a thought. Of
Well,
course, the only problem with that is if there's more than. Wait a minute. but they can do that. I know in the iPhone they have the ability, like you can have more than one headset listening to
Right.
one headphone via the Bluetooth. Because
Yeah.
I used to think it used to be only one device at a time. I did not realize that you can broadcast to more than one device. Is that new, or is that
I don't know.
feels
I
new,
don't know.
doesn't it?
I know that
We should
if
look
you
that
use
up.
the remote, the plug, it will
Yep.
actually mute the sound coming out of the
Yes.
television.
Right. So that, yeah, same thing. Of course, when you turn on the Bluetooth for something, it
Right.
mutes it off the device, and now it moves it over to the other area. But if you have like two headphones connected to the same single unit because you said yes to the device. See, the issue was before was like you had to pick a device and then you had to pick a separate device. But if it's the other way around, if it's more push, it's like, hey, device wants to listen. Yes, another device wants to listen. Yes, now I can see channels going out. But if you have to choose one or the other, then of course the other one will get muted
Yeah.
as soon as you switch. I got to look this up, but
Gotta
this might
check it
be the
out.
case. But the headphone thing is a good idea. I know the Xbox has something like that. If you have
Yeah.
the controller, you put it in and put the headphones in, and you're fine. But it's the baby, and they have that because they want to give you that ability to have the interaction with the with your device. So that makes sense.
Now 14-year-olds,
Right. The issue though is I'm not the only one watching the TV. My ears are not so good, so I usually have to have it loud, so I put on the captioning.
Yeah.
So my wife is with me, and she's like, "Well, I can hear fine." And it's like you can hear fine. It's like all I see is like, it's like you can hear that. Wow, that's how old I am. It's too much rock and roll. I can't hear it as well as you can.
So
Oh man.
kind of back to the AI, just a little bit. It's similar, but I saw recently an article about some audio manipulation that was being done to make to basically do like oh shoot, now I've lost the movie.
What, Minority Report
Get
stuff?
Out. No,
Or Get Out?
Yeah, it's the white voice.
Yes.
Right. So
Yeah.
so there is a product out there that will take call center workers and make them sound more mainstream American, let's say.
Whoa! You mean it's like a vocal tuner, but for accents.
For accents and word choice, and it is a full AI sort of thing.
What? Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Now
I'll
we'll
put
never be able to tell where the call is
a
coming from.
well, exactly.
Holy smokes.
Yeah,
Yikes.
I think that was
Oh, okay. We got to follow that one up. Well, I'm trying to get an AI person over here for a guest pretty soon, as you probably heard. That's coming up soon. Chances are, though, let's see. So next week will probably be a bad week because of the preparation for the big conference. By the way, I am speaking. By the way,
you're traveling again.
I'm actually traveling and
Nice.
speaking. I'm actually going to do more live. I did the Scottish Summit. I think it was my first foray into the world.
Into
Talk
the
about
NV
really.
area.
Yes,
Right?
the MVP area, right? So Power Platform Conference, Orlando. That's in on the 20th, 22nd to 22nd. My thing is the 22nd, but I'll be there. Next one is Ignite itself, the big Microsoft Ignite. Apparently, I'll be at Ignite, and maybe not so apparent, mainly because, like as they say, success breeds a little bit of success, a little bit. So that's pretty nice. I'm doing this virtually for a while, but I think because they saw that I can actually stand up and I actually wear pants when I present, I think they're like, okay, yeah, I think we'll let them do a live presentation. That's all right. Some of us forgot what that is, right? We've been virtual so long. It's like pants. If I see these pants you speak of, it's like, yeah. It's like so I'm doing that. So those are coming up. So Neil's or the M365 Chicago virtual event, still staying virtual, is coming back. 11/11/22. I like about what I like about that date. It's like no matter where you're in the world, you agree that 11/11/22 is the same freaking day.
Exactly.
Right? I can tell someone from England. He's like, we're going to go on 11/11. It's like, is that the same? Is that that Friday? So yes, it is. As opposed to like when it was like, oh, I don't know, 9/16 or something. I was like, oh no, 9/16 is easy.
No. Yeah.
Let's say
4/3.
4/3. There we go. 4/3 is like, hey, you're a month early. Where'd you go? It's like, oh, I thought this was on 4/3. It's like, well, no, it's on 3/4. You're late. Whatever,
March 4th or
Exactly.
April 3rd. Yeah.
I think, are we the only country, I think, that's doing it still? that
I
way?
I don't know. It's
What does
awful.
it feel like we're the only one with that format?
It's like the gallon and the liter, right? We can't commit to one or the other, and it's horrible. It's
No,
awful.
it's
We
not.
really
You know where I hate for that is like when I'm trying to get tools, and then like I'll look at an instruction, I'll say, "Give me 5 mm." All right, millimeters, right? And then I'll finally go to the shop and I'll look at my tools and I'm like, oh, these are all in inches and everything else. I got to freaking convert. All right,
yeah,
and then so I have the right tools, Then I go and look at the instructions. It's like, yes, you get your 3/4 inch. It's like, oh man, I just got this over here. You have to look at this now. I have to have. There's no one tool set that has them both in there. For that matter, they'll have on the giant tool sets. They'll have the 5 mm next to the 1 1/4. It's like, wait a minute, aren't those almost the same? Actually, they're not. There's that 0.0 whatever difference, but it is different.
yeah.
I said, well, that's why they're making a lot of money. They're selling these huge tool sets so they can give you both measurements of the same stuff, not realizing that there's probably overlap in some cases, but ouch, right? That hurts.
Yeah.
11/11 though. 11/11. That's coming up. It's I think 11/11 is actually also Veterans Day here in the United States. Basically, that's why we're calling it essentially a salute to services, as in the services. Get it? The services. Hey, it's Microsoft 365. It's service, software as a service. Get it? Service. Yes. Yay. We're thinking. So that's the idea for that one. But that's coming up. What else is coming up? Something. Yeah. So Ignite October. These two. I get to do actually a behind the paywall conference. EduCon in Chicago. Yes, EduCon. It would used to be SharePoint Fest. They've gone beyond SharePoint, which pretty much everyone has done so, including Microsoft. So it is indeed. That's on the last week of September, the week after. Wow. So I have 2 sessions there. Wow. Huh. I'm actually doing technical sessions there. I'm not just talking about like, Ed Mini. Oh, here's nice to do TED type talks stuff. I'm actually saying here are the gears and bits, the stuff that you always do here, because usually that's the kind of classes you give. Like, here's exactly the freaking code you better follow, or else you're dead.
Yeah, I've got to get back to that. I need to do maybe that's what we do next week. I'll prep something for us. Today I just joined Code Wars. I don't know if you've seen that. Code Wars is great.
Yes, I've heard of that. And actually, this has been that's a while ago for Code Wars. Hasn't it been around a while?
It has. But they had katas.
The
katas. Back to the old.
Oh yes, I remember those. I do remember getting into those big time. Yes.
Back in the day.
It's how you made muscle memory as a developer back then. Exactly. Yes.
And I've got one of our junior developers needs some assistance with C#, and so it's one thing to read a lot about it, but until you've actually sat down at the keyboard, it doesn't really stick. So
exactly. So katas, folks, it comes from the Japanese term. Basically, the idea is like you go to a dojo, you learn how the katas, like you're learning is like do it over and over, and you'll get that feel, that look, and everything else. You take it to code, right? And this is a while. Wow, this has been a while since I've actually done this, but this used to be something that we loved doing back in the day. It's how we actually got good at it if we didn't have a live assignment going on. I mean, the other ways if you're doing it for real and you're doing it every day, that's one thing. But if you were like in between, or worse, you're so focused on one thing that when someone asks you to do something else, it's like, wow, I have to Google the heck out or Bing the heck out of the other one.
Right.
Doing the katas keeps you fresh, or at least keeps you,
it develops muscle memory. I mean, it's the same reason that people go out and go to the driving range to hit golf balls, right? They're developing muscle memory. It's the same type of thing. We're just doing it with code.
Yes.
And we're
and you're able to do it in the cloud.
And you're able to do it in the cloud. Yes. You don't have to install anything. It's all within the browser.
That's right.
A lot of cool things.
So, in fact, I remember that was one of the first great applications in the cloud where we could do that. You would basically open up a browser, and then just play it over there. It's all the smarts for how that stuff worked was behind the scenes,
Right.
right? You didn't open up your own tool. You didn't open up Visual Studio. You had to go, and some places people didn't like that. It's like, well, it sort of constrains you. No, it's not. It's the same way you would go into a gym and you got to go into like the so-called ring in the gym. Well, that's going to be safe for you to be in the ring. If it was the real thing over there, where like you could get bottles of beer thrown at you from the audience, that's live. This is over here. A nice little situation. But I can imagine, though, I haven't seen those in a long time. Those technologies must have updated. They must be a lot better. I mean, here, vscode.dev is actually live coding on the browser, and you can do code sharing and all that stuff. So I'm going to have to imagine that the Code War stuff must be, I mean, short of actual missiles going through and animation, I'm not sure. What is different?
Yeah.
Is it the same thing? The same tools?
Yeah,
You think?
I'll tell you what. I'll do a full presentation on it next week.
All right, so that'll be our presentation for that. So that'll come up. All right. We'll follow that up. What else is going on? We were talking about like virtual machines again. The concept of like, again, where you have something like a VS Code, you're doing your actions through your browsers, and almost everything now you can do through your phone or browsers. Shouldn't matter what your device you're on. So every time I hear it's like, yeah, you need Windows X to do this or Mac this, and sometimes like, why? Yeah. Why did you build it that way? It doesn't happen. Well, the whole point is you're supposed to be able to, if you need that kind of, let's just say, infrastructure to do whatever it is you need to do, because not so much it's old school, but you are trying to do a lot. The idea of the virtual machine in the past, you RFP to it, you open up the machine, but the problem was that it's really hard to manage. I guess the way you package that, it's really hard to do. But I know like Citrix figured out how to do it very, very flat. I mean, what's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah.
They don't have to have a lot of stuff installed. They can literally they almost like virtually create what you need at the time you need it in the small little space that you've got and make it work. Who are the players there? So Citrix, Microsoft, of course. Microsoft came up with their own
managed desktop.
Managed desktop.
We've talked about before, and I tried to sign up for like a preview, and I was too late. Right? I mean, it came out, and everybody was like, "Wow!" and jumped on it. And they had not allocated enough space for it. It's been a minute. It's been a while. So I'll look back at it. Amazon has their workspaces.
Right. So is Amazon like Windows workspaces, or also do they do Windows?
Windows workspace. Yeah.
Wow.
It's infrastructure as a service, right? We're back to managed infrastructure. So rather than, and for me it's great, and for clients it's great because they don't have to send me a laptop.
Right.
I can get onboarded within a day, and depending on the size of the company, either I have to install a bunch of software or it's pre-installed. One of the companies that I'm working with has they've got a catalog almost of applications that you push a button and it automatically installs them for you.
There you go. So, well, see, that makes more sense though. So if you're like, especially if you're already doing business on the Amazon side, that makes more sense to be part of that ecosystem.
Right.
I mean, Microsoft provides will help you set up like SQL Server or any of those things to begin with. So why not Windows desktops?
Why not desktop?
Why not a desktop? That makes sense.
You don't have to worry about the upgrade path, right? Man, this machine is old and it's hard. I need a developer machine. You remember back in the day when the company that we love that died?
Yep.
I mean, we had beefy laptops, right?
Yep.
Big, heavy.
Oh, I got back pains from my laptop. My laptop was so heavy, it's like, I'm sorry, planet Earth is that way. Where are you going, Hercules?
I mean, it was 2 hard drives in a laptop with RAID and 32 gigs of RAM and a hot processor, and it was heavy. But we needed that because, well, for one thing, we were doing SharePoint.
Yeah, we were doing SharePoint. We had to simulate servers. Servers on a single machine. Think of that. Yeah.
Absolutely. VMs, right? We were running multiple VMs to simulate a full environment, and it was painful. But now we don't have to do that. Now we can do it all in the cloud.
That's right.
And as far as the dev machine, even people that are having to do straight up development, they need a fast machine in order
Yes.
to reduce that compile cycle.
Right.
And you don't have to worry about it. You just up the resources that are on the virtual desktop that you've
That's
assigned to
true. So another issue of the virtual desktop, why people be like, well, I got the system over here. You can virtualize this piece over here. Why would you want to do it yet into a separate system? Well, the whole point though is control within the system, within the quote unquote application is really, really tight. And if you want to mimic the same power as if you're there at the site. I mean, you got to remember, there's still a lot of folks that have what's called on-premises or things that are local to their system, and there's connections that are in there that have to be very, very secure. And even the thought of that, this is why we get laptops, right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, you need to be not on the VPN. You need to be not just on the VPN, but also on the domain and
Right.
authenticated in 5 ways to Sunday before you can access said resource on file server X
Right.
or
So
on server
I
X.
can connect my desktop to a VPN
Yep.
for company X, Y, or Z because it's not their hardware, so they don't have
Yes.
control of what's connected.
Exactly. They
Running.
won't know if
Right.
there's we put in a USB in there and start grabbing data. They won't know. In fact, that was the one company that you and I were actually in, where like even just putting in the USB on their machines was just a no-no. You put anything in there, blocked. It just knew that that's the kind of device you just plugged in and just got
Locked
it
up.
told you. And it basically it told you, gave you one warning. Do it again. And it was
Don't do
a
that.
case of one warning, don't ever. It was the case of don't ever do it again. The second time you do it, you got an email from security that says you need to come in because why did you do this second time? You might say,
Right.
well, I didn't do it the first time. Who did? Well, somebody was not my machine.
There you go.
Good luck.
Problem, right? So
Yep.
This gives them complete control. It's easy to onboard people. It's also easy to offboard people.
That's true.
You know, the great resignation is still going on. Now we have, what is it, the slow quit?
The slow quit. This is the quiet quit. The silent quit or something like that.
Yes.
Where
Silent resignation.
Silent resignation. I think it's the idea. The way I understand it is like people who do only what it is they're supposed to do. You don't see them because they're remote anyway, and they're doing only that little bits, and they're slowly trying to disengage, and then all of a sudden you're ghosted. What happens? They quit.
Yeah.
Was that is there a note? Yes, there is, but they don't care because they don't know they're not going to be walked out.
Right.
they're done. They're like, here, sure, take it all. I'm out.
That you need, you know.
Wow.
Do the minimum that you can. So
Do the minimum that you can. You know, folks, that's all fine and well, but you may want to consider it's like there's karma involved. I always look at it as like, well, karma at the end of the day. Karma will come and get you. Thank you, John Lennon, for that song. But yeah, it's going to be karma.
I mean, you know, I don't. Yeah, it's a different mindset than either you or I have. So,
indeed,
you're a Microsoft MVP because you're driven to succeed, and you know, I'm a principal architect at a consulting firm because I'm driven to succeed, and you know, we do more because, well, we enjoy what we're doing, but we also are trying to move further, right? To get further ahead. And to, you know,
well, you have to keep in mind, it's like not a case of stepping, like anything else. So that's, I guess, a moral, the good old moral statement that says, as you're moving forward, just watch where you step. Yes. Is the closest way I could put it. You know, just watch where you step.
It's not a zero-sum game. It never should be
a
zero-sum game where, in order for you to win, someone else has to lose.
Yeah.
It's not a situation where you don't have to outrun the bear. You just have to outrun the person next to you.
Yeah, you know, that may be the case. It's true. You know, at least the way I look at it now is on the AI side, it's going to get worse as you're going forward. It's like to say, well, I didn't step in, I didn't hurt anyone. Like the folks that were maybe, well, I don't know, didn't say nice things way in the past. Well, how come we're only hearing about that now? It's because now we have cell phones that take pictures of everything, right? The whole so-called Karen, I'm sorry if your name is Karen, phenomena that's out there is because of our ability. Now, these people were there forever, as far as I know. I remember folks like that when I was a little kid. So, well, how come we're hearing about this more in like now? My mom was asking. It's like, oh, everyone's like saying and making a big deal of it. Well, only because they're being caught, right? In other words, here's the thing: this is regular people catching them. And back to our AI thing. You know who's going to start catching us or remembering? Baby Skynet will remember what you did. She'll be like, "Oh yeah, I remember when you were on that website and you swipe left. Yes, I remember." It's like Baby
Well,
Skynet
and,
will
you
remember.
know, even 3 or 4 years ago, Microsoft had tools that could do sentiment analysis on text. And as soon as you are able to turn text to speech, then you can do sentiment analysis about spoken words.
Oh dear,
I mean,
that's
all of
right.
that,
Oh,
all of that's there
so
and
I
available.
think actually I'm hearing the smart speakers actually speak with sentiment analysis. Almost like here's a patch that you're reading from, and you almost hear that they're like the inflections
Right.
are the emotion of the not the sentence, but I guess the paragraph.
Right.
At least
Well,
I'm not sure if that's my imagination or did
no.
they go in and tweak it. It can't be. If it's the speaker speaking, it must be doing that. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's adding inflection based on the context of what it's speaking about. It's
Right.
very cool. I mean,
That's pretty
and that's
neat.
that ubiquitous AI. Now it's just everywhere. You don't even notice that it's there.
Yeah. So this is our AI. This is our pre. We're going to get an AI person to come. You know what? Maybe it won't be a person. Maybe the AI himself will come to
Uh,
speak for itself. It's like, what do you say for yourself, baby Skynet? Uh, you will be in the spice mine soon enough. Yes, I I have
well,
to get ready
Steve,
to mine
you know,
spice.
I believe in New York. New York, I believe, has one of the Google or Amazon shops that doesn't have a cashier, doesn't have a checkout. It's not
Oh,
even self check. It's you just go and you pick and walk out the door and you're charged.
and the active you, it knows you as soon as you come in, and it
So
knows you as soon as you get out. It's all right. Come in, get your stuff. I know who you
yeah,
are. Cameras.
if they have that, I'll have to look and see if there's one in New York and see about giving that a try.
You know what we should
Tales from
do
the
though.
field.
I think what we should do is not exactly take the show on the road concept. And here is the concept: you go and you do the TikTok. You get your phone, go see something in the world that's cloudy. We'll bring it back, and then we play the video right over here as
There you
part
go.
of our show. Let's think
Ah,
about that. I'm dropping that idea,
ah,
and we can put those on. We just pass the videos to Raquel handy, and she just goes and hits play because Raquel probably needs a raise on her streaming work and wants to do more, right, Raquel? Yep. So
so
that'll be extra work. There we go.
we yeah, I mean, absolutely, and you know, YouTube Shorts, right? We
Having
talk a
videos ahead of
lot.
time.
We
Yes.
talk a
Yep.
lot. We could boil this down to 30 seconds, really, of what content we have, because we just talk a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
True.
maybe not 30 seconds, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's right.
Yeah.
We can fit it. We can definitely fit it. So I'm just taking a look over here at some of these other applications, and sometimes it's a small thing. You go through and you just see it, and you put it into context, and you just go back and forth. The tools have to be easier to integrate, and why not? Well, let's think
Right.
about
Well,
that.
see, what would be cool is if we had an AI that would go in and watch what we've said and find those hot takes, find that 30 seconds that you really you really nailed it here. Come on,
Right.
guys, you really ought to put this out in a different.
And put it out in a thing. Right now, I think it's random when it picks out. It's still like if you ever have you ever posted like created a video and put it somewhere and then it creates its own thumbnails and stuff.
Thumbnails. Yeah.
And it's quite right now. I think it's a bit random. It just picks a point in time. It could be like a weird thumbnail. It's like
Yeah.
you're doing a face, or it'll be like in a place that it looks like it's like, well, that's nothing. And that's when we're in between scenes. That's because it literally is random. It's I tried to look to see is it always the 1 minute mark or like the halfway mark and then the halfway of the halfway mark to get the thing. Nope. It there's a random generator that clearly they're using to pick out of it. So it's not always you can go and you can always add your own thumbnail because I think
Right.
the MPV4 format allows you to essentially put that parameter again. We do that now with YouTube. right? So right now we go out of our way to stick the Cloud Talk Show thing in front. Otherwise, if we put the videos right up as they are, look at it right now on the YouTube, and you'll see it's like some time of the show. It's somewhere where our heads are all tilted like this, looks silly or whatever. Something is going on. It looks like a piece, and it's captured at piece. But then after the fact, going in and make it happen. Now, if the AI can do that, or if the AI sees, like for every video, you seem to be always changing it with this one. Maybe I should do that for you. Hey AI, now you're being very Viva Insights with me and repeating what I'm telling you. Speaking of, yes, we're on the AI kick.
And if we just think about signal processing, machine intelligence doesn't necessarily mean AI, right?
Correct.
If you just look at our backgrounds right now, there's machine intelligence. There are programs that are masking out and finding our edges,
and not always succeeding at it. I'm looking
right always, there. But we don't think about it.
My finger.
You had to have a green screen for a long time, right? You had to give it better clues, but it's become smarter. It is better at doing what it did before. So
coincidence that my little background over here shows that like there's a light. There my hand goes away. There's actually a light source over here, and I'm pointing at this light source over here because actually for real with me, and let me has a light source that's out there, which is causing this problem, which is my hand. Like, I got no arm. This is why this happens. It's not because it doesn't see me anymore. It's because the light here has changed so significantly that it now determined that your arm must belong to the background.
Right.
Like, there we go.
It's no longer in the same plane.
That's too freaky. I lost my arm in that battle. What was that guy from Skyrim? It's like, yes. I took an arrow to the knee. That guy, he can't do it. He can't be an adventurer. I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow to the knee. It's like, well, my hand got cut off. I used to be a swordsman that was really good, and then what happened?
My name is Inigo Montoya.
Yes, it's time to die. Prepare to die. No, it's prepare to die. That's the thing. So Mandy Patinkin. By the way, Mandy Patinkin from Chicago. Just a note. Close brush to greatness. I actually knew a guy that went to school with him. And he was a musician, and he went into acting. And well, Mandy, we love you still. Please come back wherever you are. Like to see you in something else. Hey, where are we going? We're about halfway through the hour over here. We can relax a little bit today, mainly because we're going to be busy in the next couple of weeks for me, for sure.
Let's cut it short. And we had a speaker last week. We had Emerita came on and
we got crazy with Emerita. It was great. Thank you, Emerita, by the way. Hey,
thank you.
Hi, Emerita. Hi again. But yeah, that was a great talk. That was fantastic. So that was like, so we're at the point where like, oh wow, we need more of those to get going. It's like, okay, don't worry, we'll have better topics. I think we want to do that kata to bring that back, to bring the concept of muscle memory. So developers who are watching the show, come back for that one. That's actually a good one. For those who are not developers, watch what happens here, and then when a developer says, "Oh," you can say, "Well, I saw those developers can do this," and then you can sound managerial in your expression to have them proceed down that path. Just saying.
All right.
All righty.
Well, then let's call it.
Let's call it.
Great to see you.
Thank you. Oh, and my lost fingers will say bye-bye. We'll see ya. Raquel, you can bumper us out. Thanks.